Jadilla strides with heart, flames in her eyes, vision so sharp, cutting through lies. Graceful ballerina on world's heavy stage, igniting the truth, turning page after page. Unified fire, light in her veins, kick-starting the engine, breaking chains. Insight on high, she sees through the dark, pathway revealed, she leaves her mark.
Flame and brilliance, born from the spark. One heart ignited, roaring like a lark. Unified forces making shadows depart. Jen leads us in this grand art.
Her wisdom's a torch, eyes set on the goal. Destiny written deep in her soul. Fire and light, merging so tight. Powers combined to illuminate night. Jen's grace, lifting vision so high. Seeing the world through an eagle's eye. Heartbeats sinking like drums in the fight. Unified essence burning so bright.
Oh, flame and brilliance, born from the spark. One heart ignited, roaring like a lark. Unified forces making shadows depart. Jen leads us in this grand art. Jen leads us, and go from the
face as a devotion. Right. So F stands for frequency. It's not beauty, it's not balance, but it's the vibrational signature of your truth. It's an unapologetic broadcast. A is for adornment, sacred styling, not necessarily decoration, but rather devotion. It's color as a ritual, shimmer as resistance. C is for cathedral. Your face is not a blank space. It's a stained glass structure that houses story and lineage and light. And E is for embodiment. It's not a look. This is an arrival. It's a full expression of an unmuted myth. Right? And so we're going to start in the gate of the skin. This is skincare as ritual. This is where we prepare the canvas, bless the body, root radiance. Again, this is not a routine. This is remembrance. So skincare is sacred grounding. Before I lay pigment, I offer presence. Before I shimmer, I soften. And before I build power, I bless the base. So I begin with water, not to cleanse, but to return. Water knows how to hold what we've been told to release. And so I invite it now to meet the edges of my face with forgiveness. Rose water, by the way. And don't rush things. Allow this to take its own time. And I use oil, like a spell. It's strong as a towel. I will not abandon this body. to perfectionism. I will not polish myself into palatability. I'm going to use my other hand, to warm and activate where I have gotten. This product I always use on my neck and or the back of my hands. And moisture enters next, right? So this is not to soothe me, but to remind me that I am allowed to take up softness and that I am allowed to be whole before I am presentable. So again, I'm warming my hand. Actually using a mixture of lotions. And let water and let your fingers dance across your skin. Allow them to move up to your skin, to your pores, to your cells. Your skin is the largest organ on your body. And this is self-care, despite what you may hear at times that it's not. This is self-care. This is ritual. This is sacred attention to your body with intention. And you just in this way helps to cleanse and remove toxins. It brings blood and circulation, oxygenization to the surface. And you do have time. You have time. You are the creator of time to be present. So make it. Makeup will not hide me, it will reveal me. But I cannot reveal what I have not held first. So I hold myself here at the gate of skin, which is now the altar that is now prepared. And now the truth can sit on my skin, not as an armor, but as an offering. Foundation is not concealment, it is ceremony. Each layer I lay upon my skin is a tone I reclaim, not for perfection, but for projection. Because the world has taught me to modulate my voice, to sand down my sentences, to neutralize my present from being too much, too loud, too emotional, too aggressive. So today, I build my base not to disappear, but to reappear in fullness. And I choose my shade like I choose my truth, matching what's real, not lightened for comfort, not dulled for approval, aligned with the tone of my testimony. With each pass across my face, my jawline, my neck, I say, my voice belongs in this room. My tone is not a threat, it's a tether. I do not mute myself into likability. I ground myself into resonance as the sound check of truth. This is the color of my clarity. I choose what deserves tenderness. This truth will hold. And now I have created a megaphone in matte, a microphone in mineral, and a mirror that speaks back. Your voice is not too much. It's just been waiting for your skin to agree. These are not shades. These are hue prints spoken from the edge of my body and remembered through my skin. Hello, my beautiful friends. Thank you so much in sharing in the beginning of my self-care to get to this stage today. And this is the grand finale, the end of our color pilgrimage through hue prints. I want to take a moment and say hello to you by voice. Leslie, Nick, Sharon, Kinga, my beautiful sisters, and Lady Drew. And I'm just going to say Islam because I cannot pronounce your first name and I don't want to say it incorrectly. And whoever else is out watching today, I appreciate you all so very much. And for those of you that may not know who I am, or for those of you that might be on the replay later, my name is Jen Lynn, and I'm the founder of Avant-Garde Branding. I'm sorry, the creator of Avant-Garde Branding and the founder of Uniqua New Beauty Norm. So today I want to, I'm going to recap on this color journey that we've been through, this form of resistance, this form of not being silent, not being uniformed, right? And so I also want to say before I forget, listen, if minimalist is your true thing, and if you really truly love beige over a beautiful violet, that's great. There is nothing wrong with beige or brown or gray or any color. This is not about that, right? This whole journey is about finding what it is that you do love and recognizing, is it what you love? Or are you following the lines that have been placed, and do you find yourself within them, not even realizing why it was that you were there, right? And so that's kind of what this journey has been all about. And plus, you guys know that I love color and expression, right? And so I want to do a little screen share here. I'm going to add this to stage, and we're going to do a little recap. So first of all, we had the magenta. Let's go back. We had magenta, that unseen fire, that the dare to be seen, to speak your truth, shake the silence, right? It's the I'm here color. Stop hiding brilliance to serve or survive dull rooms, right? That's the message of magenta. And then we had this beautiful, beautiful volcanic orange of courage. Dare to be the eruption, dare to be louder before you are validated, before you are liked, right? Be yourself. And then there's this beautiful, happy solar yellow of audacity. Dare to shine, right? Before you're affirmed. Again, laugh at your own discomfort, right? Joy is absolutely a political act. It's an act when the systems bank on you to despair, when the systems want you to despair and you show up in joy. That is audacity. That's audacious. My favorite kind of audacity. Then there was the wisdom blue, and forget the audacity. It's of wisdom. Obviously, I didn't get to move that. It reminds us that we don't have to yell to be heard. It reminds us that stillness is also not silence when it's used as strategy, and that you don't have to explain, right? You don't have to explain who you are, what it is that you do. And then we had this beautiful, lush emerald of renewal, rooted. You don't need to prove your light to allow yourself to glow. You can be soft, you can be seen, you can return to something that you thought was lost. Oh, isn't that, I love that. Even saying it out loud just now, I have chills, because what we believe was once lost, we can absolutely return to. And did not mean to go back to magenta there. So we're going to move up here. And then we had the pearl of a soft power. We had the mother of pearl, essentially, that grace being forged and pressure being protected when it's needed to, and also being soft, right? Being soft, being natural in a way. Then we have obsidian. It's obsidian clarity, the clarity that's truth without distortion, the old statements, right? Energetic blade, if you will. The reason the unicorn is there is because most of you all know, right? I'm the queen of the unicorns. And so in my queendom and in my experience, unicorns, are not shooting rainbows out of their behinds and sprinkling Skittles everywhere. That's just, it's not it. When we're young, right? But when we're grown, when we're mature, and we show up in your life, is to show you what needs to be cut away, in a sense. And what I mean by cutting away is removing all of the options that don't support what it is that you want in life, right? Make a decision, cut away all the other options, cut away everything that's keeping you from reaching what it is that you're wanting or needing. That's where the clarity comes in, right? When we cut all that other stuff away. And then we had the rose gold reckoning. And it's a reckoning because rose gold is something that's precious. It's something that's beautiful. It's something that's natural and man-made at the same time. It's a reckoning because it takes you to a place within yourself that is delicate, but also strong. It's cousins, right? Cousin to still magnolia, if you will. It's reflective. It's beautiful. It's resilient, right? And then we had, let me see. Isn't that just beautiful? I love that. Just have to say, the video here is quite beautiful. So then we, then we had chameleon chromatic, right? So we have that mimic that visionary, that purposeful chameleon that sheds its skin purposely, that shows its vulnerability. I don't know if you know, but when like snakes and lizards and such, when they shed their skin, there is a time during that process where they can't see and they're blind and they are completely as vulnerable can be while they go through that process. And so that vulnerability is something that I always kind of envision in that space. The shedding of skin is something that absolutely has to happen so that you can grow anew, so that you can grow bigger, so that you can change, so that you can adapt. It is not being inauthentic to be a chameleon, to meet the energy of the room or to set the energy of the room, right? Knowing when, having discernment to know when you do that is very important. And then there's also white, right? White asks nothing of me or you. It just gives space and reminds that you can begin again always without ever losing your worth, right? It doesn't have to be attached to that. Your worth is not attached to that. So, that is the recap of our color pilgrimage. I want to thank all of you that have gone through that process, and I want to hear from you in that process, in wearing the colors. Like, what was your experience, even in just kind of learning about some of the colors? Did you use some of the statements as affirmations to help yourself? And if you did, I want to hear, right? I want to hear about what your experience is and was, right? And then we're going to go into this stained glass, right? I went ahead and did this process because it takes a little bit of time, and to go in and add the color is going to take time. Most likely I won't even finish this by the time it's time to move on, but of course I will post pictures and things like that later. And so I want to talk about that what we're doing here and what the colors were. They were there. It's not just looks, right? It is ritual. It is self-care. When I talk about, I do this for myself every day as I'm getting ready, as a choice, is because it's a language, right? They draw a map. The map is for me to return back to myself within the day. And every pigment and every hue is a page of a story to remind me how to do that, right? I don't just wear the color, I speak in it, I speak as it. So we're going to kind of jump into now talking just a little bit about what it is that we're going to do. So we all know stained glass, essentially kind of what it looks like. There's a lot of shine. It's color. It's see-through. It's mixed. It's shadowed, right? It's fragmented, but whole at the same time. And there's just a lot to say, right there with that and what that's all about. While I'm doing that, I'm going to talk a little bit about what it is that I'm doing, but I'm also going to talk about the importance of understanding why we're asked and the history also of being asked to represent in a way that's less than, right? Like dress code. Dress code and dress codes are not about welcome in, Jesse. It's so good to see you. I'm so glad to see you. It's not always about, let me see how I want to say this. They try to keep us muted, right? Because people want to shrink what they can't silence. People want to change behavior, right? It's not about beauty, it's about behavior. From the moment that a girl is told, and or a boy, right? But from the moment that you're told to look appropriate, what they really mean is be smaller, right? And they whisper things like, well, natural makeup only, no red lips, put your hair up, don't wear it down, tuck it, cover it, blend it, quiet it, right? Because if you become too visible, you become too powerful. And if you become too powerful, you just might stop apologizing for your own radiance, right? This is it's not about modesty, it's about manageability. A woman in black eyeliner, red lips, and her own rhythm terrifies an empire that is built on shame. I want you to think about that. I'm just going to leave that there for a second while I pick up and choose my first color that I'm going to place in. You want to go darker on the outer skirts of any kind of makeup like this. And really, even when you're doing your own makeup, if you're doing contouring or you want to play with contouring, this part needs to be shadowed to bring the eye forward, right? And so I'm going, and also today I'm just experimenting. We're having fun. So I've got a couple of different things to use and play with. One of them is it's Color Tattoo Knockout. It's in a little pot. It's basically like a little cream, and I have not used in a while. And so I'm going to use a little bit of alcohol just to see if it'll bring it back to life. I use alcohol with my brushes in between colors because it works quickly and dries fast. And it also, of course, sanitizes. So I have this little brush. It's small. These bristles are soft and it moves. It's a little pliable. This is a $1 brush that I found at a little dollar store when we were in Arkansas last week or over the weekend traveling. And so I'm going to use it. You can use art brushes. I've used paint brushes, literal paint brushes, like house paint brushes. There's so many, it doesn't matter. You can use Q-tips, you can use your finger, you can use eyeshadow applicators. There's really no rule. So I'm going to go in, and I didn't bring a mirror or a smaller mirror in here. So I'm just doing this from the camera. It'll be interesting to see how well I stay in the lines with that. But I'm just going to go around, and when you're doing something like this with the stained glass, you don't want it to be uniform. You want it to be asymmetrical, and you want it to not go into the next color block, right? So it seems to be working pretty well. So I am gonna go here, I think. Done this a couple of times. This, I think, is my third time to do this. And it turns out different, right? Every time you do something, it turns out different. So something like this, even when you think you have it all figured out, you don't. But that's part of the thing that I love about art, is that it asks you to adapt, and it asks you to be quick on your feet, and it asks you to think outside of the box. It asks you to play. It asks you to pivot. it asks you just to trust the process. And for me, I think that's one of the most important parts of art, and one reason that I love it so much. One reason that it has to be a part of my day is because otherwise I very easily get caught in wanting to do things as they are quote unquote supposed to be done. Right? Does that make sense? Anybody else do that? Where it's not really about perfection. It's about following the directions. And I very much know that that's from my neurodivergence. It's from my autism, especially, that I want to follow the directions. And so this is a chosen way that I do accept that invitation and practice it, staying outside of the lines, so to speak, if you will, every single day. Yes, I am coloring in these shapes, so I'm so glad. And thank you, Jesse. Love that you love the creativity. Welcome in, Carrie. So good to see you. Yes, it does. It does. Yes, Kinga, right? The future is about humanity and creativity, but it is also about those patterns. We absolutely need them. And so I think that's one of the things that's beautiful about the world, is that there is duality, and then there's non-duality. There's also quantum. I saw the other day, and it was super exciting. They captured, physicists captured atoms singularly, not clustered together. They for the first time captured them on film singularly, and that is just amazing. That's so amazing to me, that they were able, to do that. Okay. All right. I'm going to go into darker, and I'm going to go back over that, I think, because it doesn't really look very dark. So this is just a Revolution. You can get it at Walmart. Nothing. It is special because it's in my hands. But it's not anything that anybody can't afford, right? And so we're going to go. I can see that it's making it a little bit darker. The other thing that we could do is, if you wanted it to be especially dark, is you could use a brown, a black, or a gray, or even a really dark blue first, because that will give it some dimension, some depth. Doing this with the gel and then going back in with the powder also is giving it texture, which is something that's really important when you are doing something like this. The amoebas, I love that, Kinga. Yeah, because it is exciting. I think that it is too. Super, super exciting to be able to see and understand and move particles and atoms and quantum theories. And I saw the other day too, something with quantum string theory, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but something that is, it was 112 years ago that the concept or the thesis was introduced, and now they're able to prove it after like 112 years. It's like so awesome. So that's the other thing too, as a visionary and as a creative, especially when there are crickets, I say, don't stop sharing your truth. Do not stop sharing what it is that you know that's important. Keep adding color to it. Keep adding it and putting it out because it's important, right? So let's talk about, I'm going to go back to like some dress codes, some different reasons that we're asked to obey them and that we have them in place, right? They're for suppression, right? Too much cleavage in a boardroom is just code for your body reminds me that I'm not in control. Think about that for a second, right? Doesn't it? Isn't it? If you have a problem with skin being shown, isn't that because it's reminding you that you're not in control? Isn't that because it's making you feel something uncomfortable? Right? Now, I will say, I do know that I'm extreme in my, I'm considered extreme, right? I do understand that. I understand that I would, uh, as much as I love clothes and fashion, I would give them up in a heartbeat to not ever have to wear them or cover up my body in any way ever again, or just cover my body in art and jewels. Oh my gosh, I would be in heaven to be able to do that, right? The professionalism and what looks professional is a human construct. We created that. And there are places all over the world where our women's bodies are exposed and allowed to be exposed. And it is a part of being able to be powerful when you feel comfortable. It makes you feel powerful. When you feel beautiful, it makes you feel powerful. And that can look like anything. Maybe for you, it does look like sweatpants, right? Maybe, though, it doesn't. This is for men too, right? We shouldn't have to feel like we're choking ourselves with buttons all the way up, crushing our throats, our larynxes, keeping us uncomfortable so that we're distracted. Because when you're uncomfortable, you are distracted. Okay, so I used a yellow from this, but I have another couple of yellows, but I'm not going to use another yellow in another place in it. I'm going to go in with this fluorescent yellow, which is a high pigment powder that I got off of Amazon. Again, nothing super special. You can use this just as it is, but if you use a if you use a primer, it helps it stick. And so I want to show you that while I'm doing this. So I'm going to go in and get a different brush. So this brush is small, it's angled, it's got a more stiffer bristle. Okay. And I have this beautiful, awesome, little amazing tool. Also got on Amazon. You can get them on different places, right? You can go to Ulta, places like that also have them. It's a little thumb palette. So you put it over your thumb. I put my moisturizer here. I put my foundation, powders, all of those kinds of things right here. So I'm going to take this. This is, I think I got this at Walmart. It's NYX. It's glitter primer. Okay. Any eye primer or glitter primer will work for this. So it will hold glitter, but it will also hold this loose powder pigment on there. This particular one is nude. If you can see, it's got just a little bit of a flesh color to it. Right. Some of them are clear and or white, and they'll change colors as they dry. So it doesn't matter which one, because it will dry clear. Okay, so I'm going to ask this. I'm going to ask this. I'm going to apply this. Doesn't take that much. And I'm just going to go in up here, and I'm not going to do the whole thing. I'm just going to go across in what I believe will end up being highlights, right, for the light. And so typically have a little scooper, but I forgot to bring it in here. So I am just going to use my fingernail. And now you can see that it's on there. And I'm going to take the brush and do a little bit more of that. And then I'm going to go into it. You can use a little bit of also, ooh, I forgot to bring that too. Okay, so a primer, a spray primer. You can wet your brush with that, and it will also do this. And you just want to work in small little pieces, because it will fall off and make a big mess everywhere if you're trying to do like a big hunk of colorization all at once. So you're just going to keep going back. I'm dabbing this on, dabbing it in instead of, like stroking. And you can see it's added a nice, great, fun little highlight there. Now that I've done that, I've made a light source. I've given this a light source, and the light source that I've given it is from the top down. So when I go in these other pieces, if I do, and I want to highlight from the top down, just like I just did. So some parts that you want to highlight are natural places for light to hit. So forehead, bony, enunciate, right? So like brows, the bridge of the nose, the chin area, really basically the same areas that you would use highlighter on with your foundation or your concealer. You want to use the color to highlight. And then these areas that are along the nose and the folds under the eyes and those places, if you're going for that light source, they're going to be darker, because this is underneath this, that's kind of, it's protruded over what's underneath it, right? And so that there are still rules, and we can break the rules too, and we can play around. Sometimes, especially with color and a lot of it, you want to stick to some of those rules, because it really does make a difference in how it looks in the end. Okay, so that makes me, reminds me, brings me back around to, um, blending in, right? Because that's what we've been told to do. We've been told and taught to blend in, not ask for anything until there's no mirrors. There's, we've forgotten how to look at ourselves. We've forgotten how to look at ourselves. Have you ever sat and looked in front of a mirror and cried at your own face? Out of love, out of awe, out of recognition of yourself at a soul level. It's a beautiful experience. And if you sit in front of a mirror long enough, look at yourself long enough, and really look through to see yourself, you will see you past the skin, past the masks. You'll see through all of that to see yourself. Hello, Erin, and hello, Jenny Gold. It's so great to see both of you. I haven't seen either one of you in so long, it feels like. So thank you for being here. It's great to see you. And by this gadget, I'm assuming you're talking about my little Pelican. It's my favorite tool. It really is. And then, okay, so I'm going to be through with that for right now for the yellow. So I am going to take my alcohol and I'm going to spritz the brush. And we're going to get that yellow off of there because I'm going to use this brush again. So we're going to change the color a little because if you mix colors, it will mix. So sometimes so like with this one that I used the yellow in, I'm actually not going to clear it. I'm just going to go straight into an orange. And I'm going to put it up here because I'm going to go right back in where I was just at with the yellow. And so I want it to kind of blend in a little within. So because it's a stained glass, I'm kind of just making a little triangle. I think, who knows? It is different for sure doing this on the computer camera. On the screen. So, but we're going to keep going up. I mean, have you guys, what are your opinions? Talk to me, right? What are your opinions about dress codes? And I want to know in the sense of, right, because we're told it's, for our protection, or we're told that it's because we're a distraction. And have you ever been distracted by somebody that had pink hair? Maybe had a shirt or a skirt a little short, or was showing a little bit of cleavage, right? Like, are you legitly distracted by that? Does it keep your brain from being able to work? Does it shut down your amygdala or your prefrontal cortex, right? Does it do any of those things? I'm serious. I'm legit that I want to hear from you guys. I remember color as power and as ritual. I see purple as sovereignty, and silver glitter is defying gravity. It reminds me that I'm part of the cosmos. It reminds me that I have some of the same ingredients, right, as outer space, as the stars, right? It reminds me that of possibility, and that I don't have to be easy to swallow. I'm not I am not a meal to be consumed, right? Does that make sense to anybody out there? Um, and I've always kind of felt, especially even being a paramedic, and going along the way, there's been lots of times, lots of ways that we've been asked to not shine or to not be colorful. And I see it in hospitals with nurses and doctors, and um, especially with children, those that care for children. I've always thought, if you're a cancer patient and you're a child, if you're a cancer patient and you're an adult, how much more hopeful would it be? How much more joyful could it be if your team, that was taking care of you had color and joy and fun and play that was in place? Because it makes such a huge difference in how we feel. What is it that you have the ability to turn off, Kinga? Getting distracted by someone and what they're wearing? Is that what you were saying, I think? The other thing is that you've seen that I've gone along and I've done some things pretty symmetrically. And on the outside, I am doing that to create space and safety. Because when our brain sees things that are uniform, it makes it feel right, safe. So it's not stressful for the eye to see. I also goes to dark before it goes to light. And so as I go into the center, though, I will move into less asymmetry. I'm sorry, symmetry, and I'll move more into asymmetry. Yeah, and not being attracted to the men you worked with. Absolutely, right? Because, well, you turn it off. You turn it off, and if you can't turn that off, that's not the other person's issue, right? And it goes back to, also, especially for women, we did it as protection, right? We do it as protection because when things go awry and when people cannot control themselves, you're asked, what were you wearing? You're asked, what were you wearing? As if what you're wearing gives somebody permission to do things without permission, right? They are very scary situations, yeah. That's a story and a topic for another day. I can't go, I cannot get up on sharing story time about that right now. Do also want to say that it's almost technically time, but I am going to stick around and go and just keep working. If you all want to be here, great. If you need to move on about your evening, I totally understand that. And I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. And I thank you all for your presence. And then I will be, of course, completely finishing and then posting the finished look. So go along here in a little bit when I finish. One thing that I will do when I'm finished is you'll see a little bit more glassy. And so what I'm going to use to do that is, first of all, I'm going to use a sealant that is dewy. The second thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take clear gloss and I'm going to maneuver it over. You can use Vaseline to do that. You can use Eucerin. You can use gloss. You can also, and I will also use shimmery shadows. So the shimmer shadows work because obviously they have things inside that reflect and refract the light. So when you go in and put those in spaces, it also helps bring that texture and depth back to life. This is just not just on my face, right? This is like if you're doing graphics and things like that, if you want to take what you're doing to the next level, do that. Layer the colors, look through textures. So you can even type in things like sandpaper, film, different camera, different keywords like that into, say, Canva, and it will pull up, type in overlays, right? It will pull up all these different options and things that you can use. You can look through, and a lot of times when I do my desert themes, right, to give a little bit of wave, to give texture, I may put an overlay of a sheet that I find on top of that, take that transparency down so that it's something that you don't really see the color of it all, but what you see is the depth, what you see is the texture and the movement, and that brings your eyes in, right? Draws them in to what it is that you're making. So I'm going to go in for some pink. Actually, I'm going to go in for some red first. Yeah, let's take things to the next level. Yes, I love you, Kinga. I do. Love you. I love all of you. Because all of you are the same in the sense of development, growth are important. Supporting one another is important. Adapting is important. Agility, right? All of those different things. The other thing that I'm going to start doing as I fill this out is putting color around that is contrasting. So I am putting this red here, and in a second, we're going to pop this red out, not by putting another color onto the red, but we are going to put color around it. Anybody care to guess what color we're going to put around the red to make it pop? The other thing that I am going to do really quickly is yellow and orange make red, right? So I'm going to add a little bit of water. You don't want to use alcohol necessarily in your powder when you're mixing. You can, but it will sometimes make it separate. It just doesn't work that well. So I'm going to switch brush because I don't want to get that brush wet. What I'm actually going to do is switch to a foundation brush. Pink definitely can work to make it pop. That's a good guess. Absolutely. There's different ways, right? White. We could put white on top of it and it would make it pop. We can use pink and it will make it pop. I could have put in purple underneath and it would have made it pop up off of there. Right now I'm using this yellow and orange that I had from earlier with the water and mixing them to make it red. So had too much yellow, so I'm adding some more orange. The loose pigments, they get everywhere. So definitely get yourself a little spatula to use because it'll keep it from doing that. So the first thing that I'm going to do is go in with this orange that I've just made, mixing the yellow and the orange together. And it's still pretty orange. And we're going to go in underneath. You should experience that now as you're looking at my face on this side, that your eye does go to this red because it's drawn up, because your eyes go to dark first, right? So by going a lighter underneath, it helps to pop that up. By also using the yellow and the orange, it also helps to frame it, to pop it up, because your brain knows and expects it to make red, right? And so it pops it up. I have those beautiful little things too over here that I have to find, because now that that's wet, this is right here. This is my second favorite thing. And it's because I can use it to dry. I also have a little electric fan that I use sometimes with things like this, right? And but this, because I have a if you're perimenopausal, if you get hot or sweat a lot, or your temperature fluctuates a lot with autoimmunes, things like that, this little thing goes in a little pouch. I'm going to put this down and I'll show you. It's like a windshield protector. It folds like this, turns that small, and goes inside of a little pouch. So you can get this. Got it on Amazon. That's all I can say. And I have 4 of them, and I always have it with me. It's my third favorite tool. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do to really pop this red is I'm going to take black right now, and I'm going to use this brush, which is actually a shader, is what it's called. So it's a little more packed. It's firmer. It's soft, but it's firm at the same time. And there are more bristles in it than in some of the other brushes, right? So I'm going to take this. So when I'm doing a smoky eye or something like that, this is the brush that's going to take the color and shade it out. So I'm going to take black. I'm going to create shadow first. So I'm going to go right above it, Don't be afraid of black. Don't be afraid of it. Okay, I'm going to take that and I'm going to sweep it up. And these little like circular upward strokes. Right, see? And then I'm gonna take the opposite of this. Red is green, right? So red and green make each other pop out. You can also use red and green together to make brown. It'll neutralize. Okay, so now I'm going to take this green. I'm going to go back where I just did all that black. Kind of using like an olive green. And then in a minute, I'm going to go with a lighter green. So I'm doing a bit of a gradient. Okay. And then I'm going to take a lighter green, like a lime green. And I'm going to put it here in the corner. I'm going to use my little fan again. Knock some of that fallout off. Okay. So then I'm going to take a blue, like a cobalt blue that I have over here. And carry it the rest of the way out. You want to go from side to side. So when you've done something on one side, you want to go and do it on the other. And that's partially because the muscle memory of what you just did is in existence. And if you wait too long, it's a little harder because you kind of forget sometimes what it is that you did. Certainly I do. The other thing is that we'll go back in. I will at the end with a pen, and I'll redo all of these lines, all of the black, right? So that it stays nice and separated and cleaned. So as you can see, this is one of those looks that takes some time. The more time you spend, the more detail, the more depth, the more texture, and all of those things that you can add in. If you're having fun and that is what you're doing, then keep going and spend all the time you want. If you're trying to correct something because it's not making you happy, because you're not happy with it, if that's something that you're experiencing and no matter what you do, it's not changing that, walk away. Right? Walk away, come back, or just step away and let good enough be good enough. It's one of those things that I don't know if you've ever worked on, even just remember coloring or painting a picture or doing pottery or anything like that, any art. When you start getting frustrated, or when you start getting disconnected, just stop, walk away, right? And then come back to it. Most of the time when you do, it's just like sometimes when you go to bed and you come back to something, you see it in a completely different light. And so keep going as long as you want, as long as you're enjoying it. But if it's something you stop enjoying and you're trying to fix a mistake, it's not going to work, right? Because you're trying to fix something. So I want to finish by saying, you know, as far as being colorful and not being locked into this consorted conformity, colorful tones are all throughout nature, right? Hello, we have peacock, we have the lava. It's not about being, it's not about a natural, right? Natural tone's not about natural. It's about control. Minimalism is elegant. It can be. But minimalism can also be a prison with good lighting, right? They said too much. I say it's exactly enough. And so here I am, right? I'm not ready. I'm not appropriate. I'm not a clean girl. I'm not blendable. I'm just me. I'm unfrozen. I'm unfiltered. I'm unforgiving, right? The cage for me was made of powder, polish, and politeness, but I do walk with pigment. And every step is a sentence that they never wanted me to finish. This isn't makeup. This is a manifesto, right? This is story. This is storytelling. This is refusing to be erased. They said that the world was built for beige, but I walk into every room in full frequency and it feels divine, because when you carry your face like a declaration, you don't wait for permission to pulse. You become the conversation before a single word is spoken. No one has ever asked me, how did you get so unremarkable so evenly across your face? Nobody's ever asked me that, but they have said, you make me want to try something like that, right? The few who shrink behind keyboards may say things occasionally, and they may win with some comments, but in real life, my color opens hearts, it parts lips for real connection. It makes sacred space in secular places. And I've known the other side too, right? The edge of the hue print when I was muted by jobs, muted by, having to shade down for acceptability. And I hated it. I always hated it. And even when I complied, I came armed with intention. I may be quieter today, but I'm never absent, right? Because a well-prepared fullness is hard to argue with. I've been called too much, too bold, too visible, too radiant. And while I never, ever have believed that I was broken, I did believe for a moment that maybe I didn't belong here at all. Not because of what was wrong with me, but because the world had gone blind and is blind to its own beauty and the own possibility of beauty. So I choose color. I choose color not to be seen, but to remind others that they still can. Because there's a difference between wanting to be seen and refusing to be erased. And that's the line that I live on now. That's the edge of the hue print, is wanting to be, when we want to be seen, when we demand to be seen, we are placing a burden on the outside world to see us. But refusing to be erased places the power in my bones. It places the power back into my bones to come forth in ours. I've spent time in the mirror, as I said earlier, not as punishment, but as pilgrimage. I know every curve of this face. I know the blush on my cheeks. I know the light in my eyes when I smile. I have earned every laugh line from the joy that I've experienced, and I don't apologize for it. And so I have drawn this stained glass across my skin, not for aesthetics, but for alignment. This is a line drawn in the sand, and it says, I love myself enough to be seen. So one last little thing that I want to do would be the card pull, which I don't have this card actually done and designed yet, but I do have its meaning, and so I wanted to do that. And this is the scene. Picture it, if you will. A figure stands inside a fractal dome of glass, every panel glowing on its own hue, none matching, all harmonious. Their hand is not raised for attention, but outstretched like a beacon. The face is illuminated, but the gaze is inward. Behind them, there's echoes of censorship, blurred headlines, muted filters, burned to ash, and what remains is signal, and it's pure, and it's undiluted. There was once a story, not born to entertain, but to inform the frequency of the future. They tried to compress it, to wrap it in neutrality, to tone it down for comfort, but signal cannot be softened, only scrambled. And you, refuse to be static. So you become the tower and the transmission. No more code switching, no more dimming. This is beckoning. This is being a beacon. If you get this in an upright meaning, and that's what you saw, you are transmitting for resonance. Your truth expressed fully is a signal that others are tuning to. So don't adjust it to be heard more clearly. That's not what you need to. Don't adjust to be heard. And don't adjust to be seen. Adjust for resonance. Okay? Refuse dilution. Speak without softening. Style, voice, identity, they're your code. So use them to broadcast fully. If you saw that or see that or imagine that in the downward, if it resonates, but it feels a little off at the same time, right? You may be subconsciously seeking permission before you broadcast your signal, and you don't need permission to be yourself. Be careful not to trade coherence for approval, right? And beware the mask of being polished hides your power. So if polished is what you want to be, then do that. And if it's not, and you're trying to do that anyways, it's hiding your power. Which takes us back, if you're being deluded, if you want to be wearing yellow, wear the yellow. Don't wear the brown. Because then you're being muted, because you're not in resonance with yourself, okay? One action that you can take is name a truth, something that you've been softening to be accepted, and say it louder, say it weirder, say it with more truth, say it with more resonance, say it with some breath, with some form in your body, right? You are not a disturbance. You are a divine disruption. Okay? So this is where the shimmer settles for now. This is where the noise will dissolve, and what remains is frequency. It's not performance or palette. It's not a trend, but it's the truth seen through skin, seen through what is anchored in our souls, in my soul. I hope that what you've seen is not just a transformation, but a reclamation. This isn't a costume, it's a cathedral. This body, this face is a cathedral, and this stained glass archive of every hue that I refuse to erase in my life today. You do not have to return to neutral. You do not owe the world a softened version of your own spectrum. You do not need to blend in to be seen. You are not too much. You are the perfect decibel of a frequency that has never, not once, been too loud or too big for the cosmos. So may your mirror reflect your myth. May your pigment carry your prayer. May your skin feel like permission. And if you wear nothing else this week, wear your sovereign signal. Loudly, loved, and unmistakably alive. This has been Jen lends a heart, and this is your benediction of embodied color. So we will return with new myths, new fires, new frequencies. But for now, let your mirror hold you. You are, at last, certainly, hopefully, fully here. We'll see you next week. Thank you.
Her wisdom's a torch, I set on the goal. Destiny written deep in her soul. Fire and light merging so tight. Powers combine to illuminate night.
Jenna's grace lifting vision so high.